Hey, Hampton students. I actually feel better than I look. My excuse for my scruffy look is I'm just coming out of like a week of stomach virus, which you don't need to hear about. But just wanted to say how much I appreciated Mr. Lawrence putting together this activity. Yeah, it was making me think, and I thought, well, maybe I could add a little bit of backstory to this activity. I went through and grabbed a couple of pictures. I can't imagine, talking about the decision to stay without talking about Teresa's part and just her courage, her selfless love, her support for that whole big part about that decision. That I didn't have to make that decision by myself. I think that's sometimes what stops us is we feel like by ourselves we can't do anything, and you have somebody there that you can bounce ideas off of, and then that believes in you. That's my wife. Met her in high school. The other thing about that decision, and you've probably considered this significantly already, but was the idea of family. That, you look at this as a life and death situation and you think, well, why you stay there or anything? Your family, you need to get out with your family. But our family was bigger than the family we had come to Rwanda with. The young lady and the young man who she lived and worked in our home. You got to put on that lens to really appreciate the decision that Teresa and I made to stay. The other little place where you stop in the film about that day when I finally left the house, that sense of security that was there in the house. And the thing that really comes to my mind with that one is the conversation I had with Pastor Soraya and that amazing advice that he gave. You gotta build a relationship with the people in power, even though the people in power are doing genocide. Yeah, Pastor and Mrs. Soraya, they are just a huge part of that decision to get out. Because once again, I wasn't making the decision by myself. This time making the decision with the really wise support of a person who Rwandan, knew the country, lots of experience. Can't imagine so many of these decisions without the support and the counsel of Pastor Soraya, his wife Phoebe. And then that other part picked in the movie in terms of the orphanage and being surrounded. Where are we? No, right here. Yeah, the orphanage, being surrounded and trusting that lieutenant. And once again, without Philip Gaillard at the Red Cross, the lieutenant never would have showed up. It's really interesting chain of people's choices, and then that we get to be part of that chain of choices. The kids, looking at this they're looking out and they're like seeing people who have killed their family, and the courage of the other people at the orphanage. I love to just represent Trifine, the nurse, with this picture. Yeah, quite. Lots and lots of memories there. The last one here, yeah, there is no way I can talk about, asking the Prime Minister to stop the massacre without focusing on the secretary who suggested that I do it. I can't tell you, if I had to pick somebody from the genocide that I didn't know before, have no idea where they are now, that I'd like to talk to, she would definitely be one of those people. And this whole part here really reminds me that you can find allies in some of the most unexpected places. For me, it really says you got to believe in the potential for good. If you believe that the potential for good is in everybody, you're more likely, you won't always, but you're more likely to try to access it. If you don't believe, if you just write them off like they're the enemy or something, then you could miss one of your most important allies in that moment. And we could talk longer if you wanted to about what I think this guy's motives might have been, but irregardless of what his motives were, his action stopped that massacre. Pretty crazy stories. I was looking through and thinking, other stories. I probably would spend time with the stories of those ladies at the gate. You saw that one, I'm sure, as you were going through the film. But that's another incredible deciding point for us. Had those ladies not stood up, I don't try to be over dramatic or anything, but our family could have been killed that night. I don't even know how to say that. I mean, yeah, I can say our family could have been killed, but to try to wrap your mind around that and what these ladies did and the relationships our kids building. So lots of, okay, that was an accident. I wasn't just trying to get my grandkid on the screen. I dropped my phone. But anyway, thank you, Mr. Lawrence, for this resource and this activity and the opportunity to talk with your students. I hope we can Zoom or something sometime sooner rather than later. And I could end with an advertisement for probiotics, but I'll skip that part. And thank you guys for digging into this story, and hope we can talk more.